Fun Talk Show. The topic for today is about the impacts of COVID-19 pandemic on transportation segments of Malaysia tourism industry. The outbreak of COVID-19 started on the December last year and it spread to other countries within just a few months. In March 2020, the COVID-19 cases in Malaysia started to grow until May, and luckily the conditions of COVID-19 pandemic in Malaysia is under control in June. The pandemic had affected the economy globally. Many sectors suffered loss and many workers were laid off. The tourism industry is one of the most vulnerable industry, and the important element in tourism, which is transportation sector, was affected as well. When there is no transportation, there will be no tourism activities. Today, we have a very special guest to our show, but due to the MCO restriction, we will reach to our guest through the video calling. Please welcome the representative from Passenger Transport Consultancy Petaling Jaya, Mr. Yuen Kang. Mr. Chin, in your opinion, how the COVID-19 pandemic affects the transportation sectors in Malaysia?
Thanks for the welcome, Ms. Shazwanie. As we all know that transportation plays an utmost important role in Malaysia industry because it carries people from an origin to a destination. However, transportation in Malaysia, such as aviation industry, was forced to cease its operation. Air transportation is the main method of international tourists traveling to Malaysia. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the aviation industry in Malaysia, such as Malaysia Airlines, AirAsia Airline, Malindo Airline, and so on, had suffered huge losses. When the MCO were imposed, there were some travelling restrictions where the tourists from overseas were restricted to travel to Malaysia, and the citizens in Malaysia were not allowed to travel domestically as well. Due to the drastic reduction of both international and domestic tourist arrivals, the aviation industry received heavy hit since there will be no income for the few months. Furthermore, the aviation companies had to pay back the refunds to the customer who booked the flight tickets in advance. According to International Air Transport Association (IATA), the Malaysia aviation industry could see a 39% fall in demand, involving an estimated 25.5 million passengers. Malaysia aviation industry was estimated to suffer 14.11 billion ringgit Malaysia loss in revenue, arising from the COVID-19 pandemic.
We see a huge reduction in revenue of air transportation company result from the economical impacts of COVID-19. Other than air mode of transportation, I think there is other mode that transportation that receive the impacts of COVID-19 as well. Since land mode of transportation is very important in tourism industry, I believe that land mode of transportation also suffers certain rate of revenue reduction. Can you please elaborate more, Mr. Chin?
Sure, Ms. Shazwanie. For the land mode of transportation, the affected transportation industries include bus or coach operator companies and taxi services. Similar with the airline companies, when the MCO was announced on 16 March, all the bus operators have to pay back the refunds to their customers. The famous bus operators in Malaysia are Aerobus, Bintang Jaya Express, Causeway Link Express, KKKL Express, Sri Maju Express, and so on. The main source of income of these bus operators is the fares carrying the passengers interstate. Buses or coaches play the vital roles in domestic tourism since it is the most favored type of land transportation used in tour excursions. Rising from the COVID-19 pandemic, the revenue of bus companies had decreased correspondingly since people are afraid to travel around. Furthermore, the rules of MCO had prohibited all the interstate movements except the reasonable trips. Most of the bus operators received nearly zero income since the domestic tourism dropped dramatically. Based on the statement of President of Peninsular Malaysia Express Bus Operators Association, Pembawa, 1,100 bus drivers were laid off due to the high operation costs. Moreover, taxi service is essential in tourism industry as well. Tourists usually use taxi services to travel within a set. Taxi is a good transportation in moving between town to town. With the decrease of tourist arrivals, the revenue for taxi drivers had decreased. The loss in revenue even became worse when the MCO had been implemented, since everyone was advised to stay at home. Thus, the taxi drivers could hardly get a passenger a day.
After listening to your information, we could have a better and deeper understanding about the impacts of COVID-19 on the element of tourism, which is transportation sector. We understand that most of the transportation firms had suffered significant loss in their business and it takes time to fully recover to the previous state. Let's hope the COVID-19 pandemic in Malaysia could be end soon. And the economy in Malaysia, especially tourism industry, can recover to the ideal state in the shortest periods. Thanks for your information, Mr. Chin. We look forward to see you again. That's all for the contents of One Stop Show today. Stay safe and goodbye everyone.